Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Give a little bit, make sure everybody who wants to watch is getting notified. Sometimes there's a lag. I hear
Yeah.
there's like, I get notified and you're already halfway into a story and I miss it.
Oh,
I'm like,
wow.
sorry.
Whoop.
But we do have today a story. Hey, Kathy. Hey, Vicky, actually. And speaking of have a stories from Vicky. So,
Okay. I'm glad you're here to listen to your story.
yeah. And I asked Emily to read it. Um, because I refuse to get bifocals. So I don't read very well on screens anymore. I don't think y'all want to see my face like this close to the screen to read. So old age. I half accept getting old and the other half I don't.
I get it.
But while we wait for friends, did either of you have anything cool come up, like paranormal wise? Any experiences? Just
Well, I kind of told you at the store in the never-ending saga of my 7-year-old saying some
Yeah.
crazy stuff constantly. I actually had Nick and Ash. So Nick is a reader at the store. For those who haven't met him before, he does tarot. He's very intuitive. And then Ash, or Venus, as she's known at the store, was over as well. And so she's an employee of ours. So two like sensitive people. I've told them about Henry and stuff and how he sees things. But we're in the living room. Henry's supposed to be sleeping, and you just hear like mom, somebody's whispering something in my ear, like, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, so I go in there, everything's okay, obviously I'm not going to see anything. I come back out, and then it's like something's touching me, like it was like for probably 20 minutes, like, so finally, not verbally, but in my head, I was like, if anything's here, you better go, like, you don't kind of know who you're messing with type of thing, and he went to sleep after that. But yeah, it's kind of alarming when your kid says stuff like that and you're like, oh, I'm the one that's supposed to deal with this. Like, I'm the adult now.
yeah.
Brandon isn't equipped for this kind of thing. So it really
That would have been funny if you're like, I need an adult, and both Nick and Ash are like, you are the adult.
Yeah, literally. And it's so funny too, because they're both just like, and I'm like, what is that? Because they just hear him and from his room, like saying this stuff. So yeah.
Did you ever get the Florida water soap for him the other day?
I
you said
didn't.
you were
I
going
do
to?
have some of the Florida water soap and the Florida water. And I've used like the white sage soap for him too, the smudge soap. But honestly, at this point, I think it's just going to be teaching him
Yeah.
how to control it at this point. Like, it's just like when I was a kid, I tried everything, like, didn't work.
Yeah. I think that's all you can do at this
Yeah.
point. I mean, how old is he?
He's 7. So, well, Larry's whole thing, because I've talked to Larry about it.
I was
And
going to
he's
say,
like,
I think he's old enough to handle.
yeah. And I never tell him, like, I won't say, like, oh, that's not real or anything like that. I just will say, like, when I go and I say, you're the toughest thing in the room, like, you've got this. Like, that's kind of how I say it, just more empowering him. But I also don't want to be like, yeah, they're like, and scare him either. So,
Right.
dicey.
There is something grabbing your leg. You're right.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, me too, man. Like, I feel it. I get it.
Yeah.
Let's see here. All right. Well, our story today, submitted by our friend Vicky, who said hello a little earlier. Yeah, take some cues from Chip Coffee.
Yep.
Right? So, Emily, if you're ready, if you want to read Vicky's story.
All right. So, let's get it up here. All right. Okay. So when I was around 7 or 8 years old, I attended a sleepover at my next door neighbor's house. We lived in Montana at the time in a small development just outside of the city limits. In our village, the kids all lived within walking distance of each other's houses, so we tended to hang out in groups for all kinds of fun activities, and the older kids looked after the younger ones. I recall some of the things we did included exploring abandoned barns and cattle pastures nearby, going on picnics, taking nighttime hay wagon rides while singing Christmas carols, and trick-or-treating for hours. Adults were never involved unless we needed a ride of some kind. On this particular night, a number of us neighborhood girls of various ages gathered at my best friend's home for the sleepover. The older girls practiced hairstyles and later told spooky stories to the rest of us. And of course, right before bedtime, they decided to hold a seance. I was rather shy and somewhat sensitive kid, and I felt uneasy, but no one wanted to be left out of the fun. So we sat down on the basement carpet and formed a circle. My friend's older sister told us to hold hands, while warning us that we could not break the chain of hands no matter what happened. Then she turned out the lights, and the older girls discussed in hushed voices whose spirit we should call to communicate with. To my relief, they chose the spirit of Abraham Lincoln, assuring us that he would not be too scary to hear from. Still, while she intoned a request to him to appear over and over, I still felt nervous. Seeing the luminous hands of a nearby clock in the darkness didn't help, so I shut my eyes tightly. Suddenly, one of the girls shrieked out that she saw a face, and everyone began to squeal and freak out. My friend's sister called out to us not to break the chain, but I no longer felt my best friend holding my right hand. Still too afraid to open my eyes, I flung my hand out to feel for hers and felt it laying limply in the carpet near my leg. I grabbed her hand and pulled it back up to the circle, and immediately after that, the lights were turned on and the seance was stopped. It took a while for all of us to settle our nerves and resume the party, and somehow we all managed to get some sleep that night. The next morning, I remember chastising my best friend, asking her why in the world she'd broken the chain of hands, and she looked at me perplexed. "What do you mean?" she asked. "I never broke the chain." It was only then that I recalled how cold and still her hand had felt when I grabbed it. The hair stood up on the back of my neck as I whispered, "Then whose hand did I pull back into the circle?" I guess we'll never know.
Wow.
That was creepy.
This is the perfect example of, screw around and find out. Like,
Yeah.
100%.
guys,
That's kind
chair.
I don't know. I don't know how I would handle not finding out that it wasn't my friend's hand that I grabbed in the dark. Like, I think that would freak me out more than anything else that happened that night. Like, literally, who in the world was I touching? Because that gives me the heebie-jeebies thinking
the
about it.
physicality of it, like a thing that you're touching in the cold, and also just the creepiness of like it's when you don't expect it, right? So she's trying to grab her best friend's hand, and you don't know whose hand she grabbed. That's insane.
Yeah, that's what would get me.
Chills.
Like, put some gloves on. Your hands are cold.
Yeah, Vicky, that was very well written too. So the good storytelling abilities there for sure.
So then I have to wonder, right? Because there's so many instances of people playing with Ouija boards that there's like a lingering effect afterwards where the spirit hangs around. So Vicky, did you guys have like whatever house this was at? Like, was there stuff that happened for a while afterwards? How soon was the next sleepover?
Well, based on the comments she just left, I don't know that there ever was another one.
She said, "I'm done."
I did really feel that hand in mine. Yeah.
60 years later, you still feel that, and I probably would too.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
My problem is the way my mind works is like just you described it so well that I keep rubbing my hand now because I can feel that hand in mine, and I'm just like, oh no, let me go.
I'm not a hand holder anyway, so don't
like, don't touch me, and living or dead.
I have to really like you. No. I had the 3-foot bubble before COVID was a thing, and I was rather excited when it became a 6-foot bubble. So
yeah. Sometimes I miss, it's so funny. This is so off topic, but like, I'm very much kind of like how you are in a way. Not like I like having my space and I can be private and stuff, especially when I'm out in public and I don't want to be bothered. And sometimes I miss the masks because like, I liked first of all, the anonymity of it. Okay. Like, you don't know if you saw me at Target, like I don't have to stop and say hi. That was somebody else. Like the facial expression hiding, all of it. I miss that. No makeup.
I don't, because if I'm making a face, I want you to see the face I'm making, because my face will tell you what my words may not.
That's funny.
So I want you to understand how I'm feeling about you in this moment. If I am disgusted by you, I want you to know that.
I mean, as a glasses wearer, I hated the freaking masks. I hated
them.
Yeah.
That did get annoying.
I would get the jaw pain because I would jut my jaw out a little bit to create so they wouldn't fog up as much. So then I had that problem. And then it's like, as being somebody who had medical training as a home health aide and everything, and just watching people wear them to be safe, but then do completely stupid shit that would contaminate them. Like, your false sense of security is adorable. And the whole gloves thing, like, you just stop it. I was just like, this is dumb. Can we be done now?
Yeah, I'm over this.
But it's like every time that I've ever been around a Ouija board, like I can sit to the side and watch other people and like it'll move. Even not table tipping, where you take the glass and you just like a fingertip 1 or 2 people and it starts gliding on the table. And it can answer questions that way. Like watching other people have really good results and get answers. And the minute I'm like, okay, let me touch it, like stops moving. And I'm like, I didn't want to talk to you anyway.
Fine then. That's funny. I've actually never used a Ouija board. Like you'd think I would have, because of just who I am as a person, but I haven't. Mainly being because I don't want to do it like at my house, and I don't want to just like do it at somebody else's house either and be like, your problem, not mine. So, and I just haven't really felt the need to do it. I do think like we kind of had a little bit of a conversation about this before we went live. Like, it is a tool that can be used when used the right way. So no judgment for anybody who does use it. It's just a talking board. But I did have an experience. It was like me and my best friend. So we were probably about like 9 or 10, and I always like creepy stuff. And I remember lighting a candle and we were going to try. And first of all, we looked up like spells online. Went on some random website, probably gave her home computer a virus. Like back when you was like the family computer, and that was it. So tried to do that, then tried to do like a seance. And I remember we lit the candle and the flame, like right when we said, does anyone want it? It just like went real high and we're like, okay, nope. And just put that flame out. And then that was the extent of it. So
like we were joking. We didn't.
Yeah, no, never mind.
I think the only thing like we ever did at sleepovers, and we did this like while I was living in Germany. So between the ages of like 12 and 15. We did the whole like light as a feather, stiff as a board. But, wait, I mean, she got like maybe 3-4 inches off the floor, but like, because by then suddenly somebody went, oh shit, and like,
and then she,
yeah, didn't have anything weird from that, but it was just kind of like the right. Oops, we did it right. The candle flame.
Yep, exactly.
Vicky says, I don't recall many other times like that, but my friend's sister played with the Ouija board, asking when she would die, and it said in a car accident. And I heard years later that she did.
Oh, shit.
You'll never catch me asking that question.
No,
I
no, I
don't want to
don't.
know.
I would rather have it be a surprise.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't want to know.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's definitely the wrong question to
Yeah.
Yeah.
ever. And that's where like, you know, even new people coming into the store who have never had a reading, who are nervous, and they're like, well, I don't want to find out anything bad. I'm like, none of my readers are going to be like, you're going to have a car wreck or you're going to die of a heart attack. Like, if
Right.
anything, if it's like a car wreck, it might be like, hey, do some maintenance on your car, make sure everything's on the up and up. And, you know, but they're not going to say it in a way that's going to scare you. They're going to make it sound like it's a warranty issue. But
Right. It
you know,
really though.
like you should really get those tires checked. When was the last time you had those did properly?
Like you
Right.
shouldn't ever like leave a reading feeling scared in that way. Like that happened. My mom actually, so I have a twin brother and an older sister, and my mom, when she was pregnant with my brother and I, had gotten a reading, and some of it was actually kind of accurate, which makes this other part real creepy. But anyway, the reader had told my mom that one of her kids would either, I'm going to say this like PC, I guess, unalive themselves or unalive each other. Now imagine being a mom pregnant and hearing that. And that stuck with her for like years. And, you know, anytime we had any type of like mental health, anything, or, you know, we're fighting and I like threw a fork at my brother. You have a twin sister, you get it. You get what I'm talking about then. Like anytime we'd get in our big fights though, or anything, like she's so anxious. And now that I do this professionally, I'm like, I cannot imagine, first of all, ever even getting that kind of messaging from spirit or from tarot cards or anything to begin with. But aside from that, ever relaying that information to a mom. And then that's where I'm going to go with this afterwards is, but I can, which she didn't say this, but plenty of people would, but if I make this specific candle for you and do this ritual for you that costs $400, she, you know, they'll be fine. So always be really like, this is kind of a tangent, but I'm just saying it because it's important. Always be so careful with people like that. If they're telling you your family is cursed, you're cursed. They're the only people that the curse, yada, yada, yada. They want you always leave feeling worse so that you have to see them again next week. They're not the people for you. So just putting that out there.
I feel like right now, and I don't know when I'm going to have time to make this now, but I feel like we need a little emoji, which would have to be on, but it's like the red flag.
Yes, seriously.
Flag emoji to put up on certain stories. Like, here's a perfect example of what not to do, or who to avoid. You know, like we need a giant waving, or if we make one, we just hold it up. Like,
yeah, right.
Red flag.
Anybody ever messages you and says Grand Rising, the ancestors have got, don't answer. No, they didn't.
And so much of that crap is on Facebook now. Every time you comment on anything, hi sweetie, I felt drawn to you to do it. Like, no, first of all, I can do it for myself, or I have like 10 friends on my friends list right now that if I need a reading, I can call them and be like, hey, can you help me? And like any of you guys would help me. Like, no, I'm not letting some rando on Facebook who's probably just trying to, you know, hack my account anyway.
Right.
And using that as bait, you know, and I want to know the number of poor souls who fall for that.
Hi.
There we go. It's perfect. Perfect, Sean.
Behind this paywall.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, thank you, Cherish. You're going to make us a little red flag emoji. It's funny, like I think it was last summer or end of spring, end of summer, when we had a whole bunch of those fake accounts copying the store left and right. And Karen, I think it may have been you, but somebody who knew the store, knew us, knew me, showed me screenshots of them messing with the scammers back. And they're like, there's no way in hell Melissa would talk like that. Rising nobody. She doesn't love anybody. Like, we know. this isn't.
I remember them messaging me too. I'm like, I work here. Like, why would this place, my place of work, be messaging me for trying to get me to pay for a reading? I literally read and work here. Like, stop it.
Right. I mean, if somebody asked, they're like, why don't you do regular? I'm like, well, first of all, I'm too busy running the store and trying to keep all this shit together. Second, I am not the one for everybody because I am like the camp mean therapist reader. So, you know, there's definitely no way I'm going to like Grand Rising full of love anybody. Like you come to me for something and I'm like, so you didn't address your shit, right? So we're going over this again? Okay.
Like, you doing this for the rest of your life?
And like, I hate repeating myself. We just talked about this 2 weeks ago and I don't feel like saying it again. So go work on your shit and come back.
Yeah, then you can get a reading when there's been
I
progression.
already told you once, it's not my fault that you are too thick-headed to listen.
Yeah, right.
But I get it. I'm the person who doesn't listen.
So it's like the shaman apprenticeship. They're like, why don't you teach classes on your own? I'm like, did you ever see Kill Bill? And the little bearded guy with long hair up in the mountains that just fucked with her constantly. I'm like, that's me. So do you really want me?
Yeah, that is so funny.
I think I would be afraid to have just you.
So I'm like,
will the results come? Yeah.
Yeah,
you're going to go through hell to get it. But you're going to get what you came for, but you're going to pay the price.
So that's why there's no Grand Rising anything store page to anybody. And Emily, you don't like that. So Vicky says she refuses to touch a Ouija board ever again after that. And I can see why. I mean, I get it. I know, like Marianne, I don't know if either of you have been in the store when she's yelled at me or lectured me about how we sell Ouija boards. And she's like, why do you have these? I'm like, to keep you employed, Marianne. Yeah, exactly. Like, you always have to come fix.
People love them. What do you want me to do? Got to get the people what they want.
I'm sure there's a Snapchat filter.
Yeah.
I need to get one of those little beard mask things. Yeah. Get the creepy little Fu Manchu.
Yes, please.
But yeah, so Richie, you've had some research for a topic. What was it? The Tulupas, right? Kind of a little bit of carryover from the Easter Bunny.
Yeah. I can't remember who it was brought it up last week, and that's why I did the research on the tulpa. Somebody brought up thought forms last week in the comments. And ultimately, that's what it comes down to. But I have my little page of research right here. It's really small print, so like I'm holding it to my face because the light in this room is not good. And I'm going to read this as I wrote it, but please don't laugh at me because there's a few words. I've read this thing over and over again, and I still trip over some of these words, not because they're hard words, but just because my brain cannot physically get these words straight, and I don't know why. But if everybody's ready, I can go ahead and read my research on the tulpa. All right. Tulpa is a Tibetan term for a phantom generated by mental concentration, or more simply put, a thought form. There have been some experiments into this phenomenon, one of which is the Philip experiment of 1972, which was a parapsychology experiment conducted in Toronto, Ontario, to determine whether subjects can communicate with fictionalized ghosts through expectations of human will. The experiment was conducted by Toronto Parapsychological Research Society, led by mathematical geneticist Dr. A.R. George Owen, and overseen by psychologist Dr. Joel Winton. The test consisted of Owen's wife, Iris, former chairman of Mensa in Canada, Margaret Sparrow, industrial designer Andy H., his wife, Lorraine, heating engineer Al Peacock, accountant Bernice M., bookkeeper Dorothy O'Donnell, and sociology student Sydney K. Their goal was to create a fictional character through a purposeful methodology and then attempt to communicate with it through a seance. The character created and agreed upon was named Philip. His fictional history partially coincided with actual events and places, but with multiple contradictions and errors. He was born in 1624 in England, had an early military career, and was knighted by the age of 16. He was involved in the English Civil War and became personal friends with Charles II, working for him as a spy. Philip was unhappily married to a woman named Dorothea and later fell in love with a Romanian girl who was accused of witchcraft and burned at the stake. In despair, Philip unalived himself in 1654 at the age of 30. The group was seated around a table with the initial seances yielding no contact, no communication, and no phenomenon. Owen changed the test conditions by dimming the lights and changing the environment to mimic a more traditional seance. Participants began feeling a presence, table vibrations, breezes, unexplained echoes, and rapping sounds, which matched responses to the questions about Philip's life. At one point, the table tilted on a single leg, and at other times moved across the room without human contact. Although audio and video and witness accounts documented the paranormal phenomenon, Philip never actually appeared to the participants. The experiment has been criticized for lacking solid controls and providing ambiguous results due to the unreliability of seances. Repeated tests, which created fictional characters named Lilith and Humphrey, yielded similar results under similar circumstances and were also deemed inconclusive. There are several examples of what a tulpa is. Most of them that I found you probably already know without knowing it. These include things such as the Boogeyman, Easter Bunny, Santa Claus, the Tooth Fairy, and there are also some more terrifying ones such as the Slender Man and Bloody Mary. But the phenomenon doesn't stop at legendary figures. It also goes into species and even worlds, such as Christmas elves, Christmas reindeer, Santa's workshop, Wonderland, the Land of Oz, and so on. What I take from my research on this phenomenon is that it just proves the true power behind the human mind. Tulpas are much easier to create today than they ever were thanks to the internet. All you have to do is come up with some believable lore, put it out on the internet, and by the combined effort of your belief and that of others, you can bring these things to life. So please be careful what you wish for, because it may come true. And that's the end of my research.
Very interesting.
I mean, they have like scientifically, and I should have been prepared for this, but it just popped in my head. That whole like you create your reality, and like they have scientifically proven, like a room full of scientists staring at a particle, it's there. When they look away, it's gone type thing. So like right now, my car just reappeared outside because I just thought of it, but technically it didn't exist until I read about it. So it kind of like a little bit of the science finally meeting a little bit of woo woo maybe. So so maybe little kids really do hear Santa's reindeer, which is based off of Norse mythology, really. The 8-legged one horse instead of 8 reindeer, but maybe they really did in that split second. Their reality bled into yours, and now there's reindeer, which is amazing.
And that goes back to the Easter Bunny too, because it started because a woman, literally, she colored eggs, put them in the garden. The kids found all the eggs, and they saw a giant hare. Well, at that moment, their imagination said, "Oh my God, the rabbit left the eggs." And then that created an entire phenomenon we know as the Easter Bunny. And I know I'm bringing that up again, but we talked about it last week, and since it's considered a tulpa, that's one of the easiest examples to use right now, considering Easter's this weekend.
Awesome. See, I need to go read more. Thank you, Chair. Like, go read up on that, see how that worked. The double slit experiment. I like balancing science with the woo-woo and reveling when they meet. Like, haha, we are still crazy, but there's reasoning behind it.
There's a method to our madness.
Vicky says the mind is a powerful thing. After all, we only actually use a tiny percentage of our brains, according to what science has told us.
Yeah.
So I was going to suggest you guys, because it's already 10:30, but I think I referenced it last week. And Emily, you're kind of good at finding hard to watch movies and documentaries, right?
Yeah.
So the Doris Bither case is this one that I referenced before about this took place in Culver City, California. She was being sexually assaulted by an entity. And she contacts some parapsychologists, guys. They come in for like a few seconds or minutes. Like they actually have this thing trapped in, I can't remember, cryogenics or something. But that was like the first time that they've ever been like, look, here's proof.
Wow.
So I figure maybe if we want to research that, maybe find the movie, if we can get the Discord, because we have been adding the channels, we are getting the things. And while I say that, let me go get the invite for it. So if you haven't joined at Discord yet, this is where we're going to really start putting stuff in. I had to shut down the old one, get the new one going. Put the channels in. Feel free to send suggestions if there's a certain channel that you would like to see added. Which, like, Nikki was like, add a creepypasta. I'm like, done. Here it is. So maybe at some point when we find where it can be watched, so we're like, okay, let's all have a watch night. And, we'll sit and discuss it while we're watching it.
Sounds so fun.
So, here is the link coming for you guys.
All right.
Is there a place to put stories in the Discord? I believe we do, but I'm going to click my tab over and go double check. There is a section for ghost pics. There is creepypasta, but I will add like a true events or like real ghost stories. Doop-a-doop. Let's go back. Why does that not look the same? It's not an event. Hold, please. Fill in the space, guys.
Okay, I am on Goddess Leads. I don't know why I thought I didn't join before, but I did.
While you guys are doing that, I'm going to go back to like in the beginning of this video. Melissa, you had asked, for some filler about had we had any experiences this week, and Emily, of course, we know she did always. But I mean, of course,
that house.
but like the other night, and it's always at work because, of course, I'm in that lobby all night by myself, absolutely no noise except for whatever I'm listening to. But I was sweeping and mopping the lobby, and I had to keep pausing my book that I was listening to because I kept hearing somebody in the lobby whistling. And I'm like, and I know some of you guys are probably thinking, well, maybe it was part of the book. I thought so at first too, but when I hit pause, the whistling stopped. So it was on the outside of my headphones. So, and it happened every time I got good momentum built up. I heard the whistle and then I had to stop because, if I have my back to the desk and stuff, I have to stop what I'm doing and turn around and make sure that there's not a customer in my lobby. And it happened like 2 or 3 times because the lobby's not big enough for me to have had it happen too many times. But every single time I stopped and turned around, and I'm like, nothing's here. I'm here by myself. So finally, I just got sick of it, and I was like, listen, unless you want to sweep and mop this lobby, I suggest you stop whistling and sit down and let me finish what I got to do, and then we can have a conversation when I'm done. Because I was that sick of it. Like, I just wanted to get my work done so I could sit back down. And, of course, it stopped because once you take charge, it usually does. But in that lobby, I'm always hearing something. Like, whenever I'm cooking, I always hear somebody, hey. And I'm like, no, not hey. If they keep interrupting my work, they're going to be put to work. I'm going to just sit the broom there and be like, here you go. Let me know when it's done.
All right. And Emily, I just made you admin in Discord,
cool.
so you can add some stuff. I did add the True Ghost Story channel. There is one for pictures, so feel free to add pictures, stories. We got the book recommendations going up, so we need to sit there and start filling that in. But and feel free, guys, if there was a book that you really like, throw it in there. Let other people know. Sierra's like, we should add a spicy, our own like book.
Yes, a side chat for the spicy novels.
Oh, that's right. So Marianne does Zoom, but now they are one-on-one for like 15, 20 minutes. You have to book those on her website. So no more of the big, 30 plus me and her kind of going through. So you need to go to her website and book that private session. I don't know how far out, like that is a her and Ted thing now because she's semi-retiring. So I can't tell you much other than it's on her website. To go do that. Let's see. I think we have Richie. I don't know if you saw Mom saying hi to you.
Oh, hi.
I was going to put it back on the screen. There's so much going on there to just hi. What you were reading your research, that's why I don't think you saw it.
Oh, I probably didn't see it.
Yeah, I will. I'll give Marianne. I talk with her. Usually at least once a week we catch up, share all the things, but which is hilarious because it's usually Wednesday. So I think she misses doing the talk live. So it's always a Wednesday that she and I talk, and I'm like, you miss it. Are you ready to do it? Nope. Okay. Yeah. I don't have anything else. I'm going to have to go find this movie to watch. And Emily, I'll have to send you like maybe the Wikipedia, like if you would it look like? And be like, here, go find this. Like, is it on Tubi? Is it on Freebie? Is it on Amazon?
I will find it. I'll do my best.
Or is it forever gone with Blockbuster? Like, we can never find her. I have been trying to get her to at least do maybe a once a month live or like a once a month podcast. Because like when she was in the store, everybody was asking about the podcast. And she's just like, nope, not ready yet. Okay. Okay. Yes, we are looking at putting that into play. So I have to see if that was finished being set up. I don't know if you know how to check that, Emily, or not. That might have to be a test on the side that happens, before we announce it. But yeah, if we did a movie watch, we could do like some of these paranormal movies or episodes and go over it. I don't know if she watches these. I know sometimes Tara does. So Tara sometimes is in the background watching. I don't think Ted does. Ted just does Ted things. But they are doing well. They're just enjoying their time together and slowing things down. So they're doing well. Do you guys have any parting wisdom, suggestions, thoughts?
I am creating a movie channel right now, so that's what I'm doing.
I don't think that any of us can actually give any wisdom.
Yeah, no. Shenanigans only.
Shenanigans only, right? Wisdom we could share today is if you are going to utilize a Ouija board, make sure you do so with proper protection in place.
Yes, please know what you're doing, because all of the worst stories to come out of the Ouija board starts with, "We were playing."
Yeah.
Like,
don't buy one from the store and come back like.
Yeah. A Ouija board's not a toy, it's a tool. And, just like anything, anything when you're dealing with the paranormal, anything can mess you up if you don't know what you're doing. Not just Ouija boards.
Mm-hmm.
But most people just have this thing like programmed into their mind, Ouija board bad. Like, and I get that, because a lot of your more horrible stories start with, we were played with a Ouija board, so I get that. And I always tell people when they're saying that, I'm like, Ouija boards are fantastic if you know how to use them and you use them properly.
Mm-hmm.
When you're playing with it like it's a toy, that you end up, screwing you and everybody around you.
Yes, Ouija boards keep us in content for a good long time.
So thanks, everyone. Yeah. You've given us stories to tell.
So Coin says, is it possible the Spirit Talker app on my phone could be very similar to a Ouija board?
Absolutely.
I don't think similar in the fact that there's as many
risks.
There's still rules to follow. You should still say goodbye. You should still be polite. All of that.
Absolutely.
I don't think it's exactly the same though, just because you're not using your energy in the sense you're not putting like your hands on the planchette, all of that. So in that sense, it's different. I would liken it more to like an obulus or
well, that's true.
Or like what's it called? A spirit box without the AMF. I'm just like the words coming through. Still say goodbye. Still say, hey, I'm done talking, when you're done. But I wouldn't say the same. Just similar in the sense that they're tools that you use to communicate.
Yeah. I mean, because either way, whether you're using a Ouija board, an app on your phone, an obelisk, or anything, any other kind of tool, you're opening a doorway and opening a channel between you and the spirit. So you have to be cautious no matter what you do. You have to take the necessary precautions to protect yourself. Lord knows, I mean, if any of you guys were here about a month ago, you heard my story about when I didn't do that, and I've never messed up since then. And, just remember that 98% of the time, I will say, whoever is coming through is human. So be respectful, be polite. I mean, if you get in that 2%, then there's not much that's going to help you. There's not much I can do to help you. I can advise to help you anyway. But 98% of the time, you're talking to a human. So just be polite. You know, hello, goodbye, just like you were having a conversation. I mean, if you were having a conversation with me or one of the ladies here, you wouldn't just cut it off and leave because that's rude. And that's going to create some kind of, that's going to create a some kind of feeling, But be polite, and end the conversation a polite way. Say goodbye. Thank them for the time that they spent in, honestly, their spirits. So who knows how much energy it took for them to do what they did. So thank them for the energy they put out there for you as well. And that's usually a good way, but I just went off on a little bit of a tangent there. But
yeah, Coins, who does some of it live on their social media, was like, I even get people in my chat that said the spirit is actually talking about them. It's weird how the spirit communicates with me for them. Yeah. It's like
that's happened to me before
the same for them.
Yeah, that's happened to me before. I was doing an investigation at Poasttown Elementary School in Middleton, Ohio, and I kind of went into this weird trance. I never did that before, and I just started writing stuff. And there was a couple of names I wrote down, and when I went up to take a break, I found out that it was the name of other investigators who were there that night. And they're like, maybe they want us to go down there. I'm like, well, go down there and see what happens. And they came back later and, told me about their experiences down there, and like a lot of stuff happened while they were down there. I'm like, well, maybe they needed something from you to be able to do stuff, I don't know. Because I can't honestly tell you how it works because none of us actually know.
They're probably just
but
like,
they clearly
talk to that guy. Like, you know what I mean? Talking to that guy or nobody. Those are your options.
And then there's times like with the spirit box, I was doing the Estes method at Madison Seminary, and I was the one who was under, which is a really, really cool thing to go through if you never went through it. It is a really cool thing to do, but that's not the point right now. I was under, and 3 or 4 different rooms, I heard the same person come through, and they were just cussing and carrying on and saying the name of a person. And later on, the person who was running the investigation came up to me. They were like, you see that person right there? I was like, yeah. They're like, that's who they were cussing at all night. And I'm like, but why? And then a little bit later, I went under again with that person in the room. And, you can't hear what they're asking, the questions that the other people are asking. But at some point, apparently, she had said, is this such and such from this place that she had investigated? And after she finished that question, I said, yes, followed directly by the B word. So I'm like, okay, so you need to figure out what you did to piss her off and fix it. Because I don't like being the person that has to cuss somebody out for somebody else. Like, I'm cool with cussing somebody out if it's for me, but not for somebody else.
Very interesting.
Who's got her sandwich? It's too big for her.
Sorry, I'm in the background starting to research this movie and chatting with Emily on the side. Like, Googling. Nick, wait, where do we find
For
this?
free on Pluto, Plex, and Tubi. I'm telling you, Tubi, Henry's the one who told me about this, by the way. Like, he is the one that was like, so there's this app called Tubi, it's free, and there's a kids section. So I was like, all right, cool. Downloaded it. It was like, wow, I actually, like, my 7-year-old came in clutch because there's so many spooky movies on here. There's a movie of somebody opening up a Dybbuk box, which is something we could totally talk about at some point. That was really cool. Not sure if it's real or not. I'm going to preface it by saying that because it's Tubi, like, you're not paying for this stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like, take some of it with a grain of salt, but there's also like really well-known movies and stuff like that that are on there too. So definitely recommend checking out Tubi.
I love Tubi. I love Tubi.
Awesome. Same with like YouTube. There's a lot of stuff on YouTube that you can find too. So
yeah, we'll have to do some research later. Check Tubi, check YouTube, see if it's really there, because sometimes you move and shift, and then
very true.
We'll have to make an announcement and be like, join us on the Discord chat. We're going to watch it, and then discuss it. So
I think an episode on the Dybbuk box would be a good idea, because that's something else that people need to learn not to play with. Like, if it's closed, leave the damn thing closed. There's a reason for it.
2002 documentary, The Entity. Does that sound right?
The original came out in 1982.
Okay.
So I don't know if they've redone it.
I'll find it. I just, while I was here, figured it.
Right.
They probably have. They've redone everything else. Why wouldn't they?
Right.
I mean, if they what's the correct term? I don't know if re-image, but where they sharpen it up, because it's 1982, it would look really grainy on today's TV. So if they remastered, there we go. That would be great. But this was based off of a true case of this lady in California who kept being sexually assaulted by this entity, and she finally reached out, and they came in. They're like, do what we can, you know.
I've heard of it happening.
So we will have to see if and where it really is and get the info up. So that link for the Discord that's in chat, I think it only is good for like 7 days, which is why we always have to reshare it every week. And we'll get some more stuff going up in there, and more info. I was playing with it a couple days ago, like adding all the things, like what else do people want to talk about? So feel free, if you're in the Discord already and you're like, I want a channel about this, like send a message, we'll get it added for you. And depending on how some of our social media goes for streaming, we may have to see how hard it would be to stream into Discord.
Hey, back up. Back up. Don't be swinging like that.
Are not allowing or liking third-party apps to stream to them. Facebook, some other places. So we may have to ask you guys here soon to join us for some of these at a different place, be it YouTube, Twitch, and maybe even the Discord, because just the way the world's going right now. But have either of you watched Warehouse 13? I don't know what this one is. Is this a haunted warehouse? Is this where you work, Kathy?
It's a documentary directed by Kathy.
I've heard of it. I just never watched it.
I'll have to add that to my list of like, go investigate while crocheting, and like you're listening and you stop and you're like, what the hell? Go back 15 seconds. Like, what did I miss? Luna wants her own show.
She does.
Yeah, she does. I had to take. She's got that sandwich that she has right now is like, it's longer than she is, but she's swinging it around like she is, and I took it from her and threw it back because she was swinging it and she hit me like 5 times. So I'm like, get away from me now. Take it to the back. There is a king size bed right here. Pick a portion of the bed that's not right up on me where you're abusing me with a sandwich.
Maybe we should do a Ouija board channel on Discord, like the stories just on Ouija boards, or should we just include that in like true stories?
will have to be something we can address.
To contemplate.
Yeah, I think that we could probably just put it in the true stories, but put like Ouija board and like so we know that if we bring this back up, that's
Right.
yeah.
All right. Well, it is 11, and Emily, you're reading in the store today.
I sure am.
So if you're local and you want a reading with Emily, you can stop in and see her. If you're not local, you can book it on Zoom.
Yeah.
And still see her.
I'm
Richie,
reading with Emily. I need to do that.
Richie, I feel like you leave a camera recording while you're working at night and just see what we catch in the background of your lobby.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, the thing is we have 4 cameras in the lobby that catches every single thing that happens in that lobby. The bad part is they don't have audio, so when I hear the haze and the whistles, we're not going to catch those. But I do have my little camcorder that I use for I used one time at the reformatory because that was the last time I went ghost hunting, but that's not the point right now. I could probably set it up sometime if I start feeling some kind of way, go ahead and just start recording and I do that from time to time. If I start feeling some kind of way, I will just pull out my cell phone and start recording and just walk around the lobby and pretty much just keep my mouth shut and hope that I can catch something. And, I never do. When I go play back, I'm like, well, that was a bit of a letdown, but it is what it is. I know it happened, but I'm not going to get any proof. But what makes me happy and know that I'm not tripping and just making stuff up in the middle of the night because my brain is like, dude, it's so late, I'm bored, is that Belleville Police Department's been here just hanging out, talking, and they've heard stuff. I've had other employees be like, they've heard stuff. I go down there because one of my best friends works the nights that I'm off. Sometimes I'll go sit with her and we will both hear something at the same time and be like, what was that? So I'm like, at least I'm not just hearing things. Other people are hearing it too. I just wish I could record it.
I'm looking up Kathy's Warehouse 13 sci-fi show from 2009 to 2014.
Yeah, I was going to say, I knew I heard of that show before, and I'm pretty sure I may have watched an episode. But
what was the name of the Paranormal Home Inspector? That would be another one if we could find maybe watching episodes together on the Discord show. Just because I love the fact that they have a non-believer home inspector guy who's just like, yeah, your wiring is all effed up. Your door isn't hung properly. Your floors slant. That's why your doors keep swinging open or slamming shut or things keep falling off. I love that. But there were still times where he was like, I have no clue. I can't recreate that. Everything looks good. Everything's, and I'm like, gotcha. But it was Paranormal Home Inspector, and probably 7 years ago when I was watching it, it was on Hulu. I don't know if it's still there. So you may have to kind of dig around on the internet for it. But yeah, we'll have to get some of those up there. But so if you want a reading with Emily, you can get her today. I think we have some other times that you can catch Emily on Zoom, and we might have to update some of those and see like those are still good. And then you can always catch Richie here on our talks, and sometimes he pops in the store like he did this weekend. Like, look, it's Richie.
It's random. Yeah, I don't even know when I'm going to be there. So
you just here.
Also, don't forget, next Friday my new book will be available on Amazon.
Mm-hmm. Can they do pre-orders, Richie, now or?
I don't know. I don't even know if they put it up yet. I finished all the editing the other day and like made it official. So but They sent me an email, but of course I didn't read it. But as of right now, no, it's not up yet.
Okay.
But
Well,
my other two books are up. My other two books are available on there too, so you can definitely go get those also.
oh, look at that. Chris on the back end. She's like, it's on Tubi.
Yeah.
There you go. I know what I'm watching tonight.
Hey, Nikki. What is the title of your books, Richie?
So the one of them is called Journey into the Unknown, My Experiences with All Things Paranormal. That one covers a big portion of my personal paranormal experiences as an investigator, and as a sensitive, and as having been a security officer for a number of years, because they get the best stories too. And then the other one, believe it or not, every time I get asked the name of the second book, I always have to go. That's the one. The one that's up now is the one that comes out next week, April 5th. That will be available. Where did it go? And then the other one is Journey into the Known, History and Hauntings Throughout America, Volume 1. It covers Ohio, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Indiana, and Kentucky. But to make it easier for you, just type in my name. I don't know if Melissa can put it on the screen because somebody typed it earlier and actually spelled it wrong. There's no T in my name. But if you just search my name on Amazon, both books will pop right up for you.
Oh, I wanted to say sorry for our friends on Twitch. Our mod bot was being a little feisty and it was holding a couple of comments for bullying, like talking about my grumpy gnomes. So we'll have to get Nightbot calmed down a little bit. We thought we had that setting good, but then I'm like, why am I not seeing this over here? And I see this little disclaimer, like being held for bullying, approve or deny. And I'm like, approve. So we'll have to work on Nightbot on Twitch. Like, calm down. No need for this. Oh, okay, cool. Chair. Also on YouTube. So we got a different places you can go watch. Yes, Nightbot was clutching its pearls. So, but well, thanks for joining us, guys. We'll hop off here so Emily can get ready to do her readings, and Richie can maybe grab something to eat and go to sleep since he worked all night, and give Luna the attention she is glaring over his shoulder for.
Yeah, I'm ignoring her because she will go away eventually, but like she keeps reaching up and hitting me, so I'm like, okay, I know, I'll be there in just a minute.
Okay, Luna.
Now you're getting the squint eye. Look, it's rather adorable. But thanks for joining, guys. We'll see you guys next week, same time, 10 a.m.
Bye, guys.